I, 21-year-old, live with my mom and stepdad. My stepdad has one daughter, Tia, in her 30s. Tia is married and has 9 kids with her husband. They also have over 7 cats. They live in a 4-bedroom house, but as you can imagine, it's still pretty cramped. I haven't spent loads of time with Tia, as she was already an adult when our parents got married. My mom and the rest of my immediate biological family really disliked Tia and her husband. I've visited Tia's home quite a few times over the years, and it's always looked like an absolute mess. The house always stinks of cat piss, and you can't even see the floor because there's just stuff everywhere. The kids themselves don't seem neglected before anyone asks. They always look clean. It's just the actual house. Tia's husband is also always working on DIY home projects that never get finished, which also just adds to the clutter and mess everywhere. In my family, we normally rotate around who's hosting the Christmas get-together. Tia last hosted it in 2019. It caused an argument between my mom and stepdad behind closed doors because my mom said if Tia hosts again, she will not be going. As usual, the house was a mess. Tia's husband served everyone, including all the kids of the family, seriously undercooked chicken. It was still cold in the middle. My mom pointed this out, and they threw it in the trash. Luckily, no one had eaten it. They had no gifts for anyone, not even my stepdad, who spent over $600 on their kids. I know gifts aren't absolutely necessary, but this just felt a bit rude. They then unexpectedly asked everyone to leave after we had been there for 2 hours, as Tia's mom and maternal grandparents were coming over. This year, Tia has volunteered to host again and invited us. My mom does not want to go and said we should just stay home this Christmas. This time, my stepdad actually agreed. So we're going to stay home. My older biological siblings also do not want to visit Tia again for Christmas, and all told her they aren't going and said they have other plans. Tia was pleasant about it over text, but on Facebook, she made passive-aggressive posts about how her fake family doesn't want to visit her on Christmas. I may be a jerk because I was growing tired of seeing these posts. I ran into Tia last week at the store, and she mentioned it to me, saying that she's hurt by everyone not visiting. I told her very bluntly, we aren't visiting her because no one wants her to host. She and her husband happily accepted gifts from everyone, but got nothing for anyone. Tried to feed us raw chicken, and their house is a mess. Tia and I started arguing, and she said that we should have communicated to her like adults, rather than just not visiting her. But I feel like some things are just common sense. Sorry, this is so long. Am I the idiot? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You did communicate to her like an adult just then when you met. She doesn't understand it and never will. If she really was so sad that your family didn't want to come to a messy house at Christmas, she would have done the adult thing and promised to clean it up beforehand this time and be better, grateful hosts. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Her family, though, are the ones who could say something about the house. At least give her a reason. Happy to have them come to you, but no one wants to set foot in their disgusting house. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for all the comments on my last post. I've got quite the update for you all. So, after I told Tia why no one wanted to visit her for Christmas, things got really heated. She stormed off after our argument in the store. And I thought that was the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. A few days later, my stepdad got a call from Tia's husband. He was furious, saying that I had publicly embarrassed Tia and that it was causing problems in their marriage. My stepdad, who's usually a calm guy, lost it. He yelled back, saying that their house was the real problem and that they needed to get their act together. I could hear them shouting through the phone from the next room. Now, remember how my mom and the rest of my immediate biological family really dislike Tia and her husband? Well, my mom overheard the call and decided to take matters into her own hands. She went on a cleaning frenzy in our house, saying she couldn't stand the thought of living like Tia. It was like she was trying to scrub away even the memory of Tia's messy home. In the midst of all this, Tia's husband started posting on Facebook about how family should stick together no matter what. It was clearly a dig at us for not wanting to go to their place for Christmas. My older siblings saw the posts and were furious. They started commenting back, and it turned into a full-blown Facebook war. I stayed out of it because I didn't want to add fuel to the fire. But then, the unexpected happened. Tia showed up at our house unannounced. She was in tears, apologizing for everything. She admitted that she had been in denial about the state of her home and how they treated everyone last Christmas. It was a jaw-dropping moment because Tia had never admitted fault before. She told us that she had started throwing stuff out and was trying to get the house in order. She even showed us pictures on her phone of the progress they'd made. It was still a long way from perfect, but it was a start. My mom, who has always been the type to hold a grudge, was surprisingly receptive. She invited Tia in, and they had a long talk over coffee. It seemed like they were finally making amends after years of tension. Tia's visit sparked something in my stepdad, too. He started helping out with the DIY projects at Tia's house on the weekends. He said he wanted to help his daughter, and that family was important. I never thought I'd see the day when he'd step foot in that house again, let alone help clean it up. Now, here's where the misunderstanding comes in. Last week, I was at the grocery store again, and I ran into one of Tia's neighbors. She started thanking me for what I did. Confused, I asked her what she meant. She explained that Tia had told everyone in the neighborhood that my confrontation with her was a planned intervention to help her realize she needed to change. I was stunned. That was not at all what happened, but if that's the story that was helping Tia save face and make positive changes, then I wasn't going to correct it. So, things are looking up, I guess. Tia and her husband are working on their house. My mom and Tia are on speaking terms, and my stepdad is being super dad by helping out. It's not perfect, but it's progress. But wait, there's more. Yesterday, Tia invited us over to see the house. It was still a bit cluttered, but the smell was gone, and you could actually see the floor. It was a huge improvement. We were all praising her efforts when her husband came in from the backyard, where he'd been working on yet another DIY project. He was carrying what looked like a homemade cat tree, and as he tried to show it off, he tripped over one of the cats, and the whole thing came crashing down. It was like a scene from a sitcom, except it was real life, and we were all trying not to laugh. Tia was mortified, but my stepdad helped him up, and they both ended up laughing about it. It was a weirdly heartwarming moment, seeing everyone getting along despite the chaos. Now, for the next story. For short context, my wife and I, both 26 years old, are homosexuals living in a red state. This incident happened last month, and it's still causing issues. A couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, we got the news that several young nieces and nephews would be coming. The last time my wife and I have seen any of them was when they were still in diapers, so we were excited to see them. Fast forward to a couple of days before Thanksgiving, we get a call from my mother wanting to talk about Thanksgiving dinner. She was telling us how she was planning on introducing my wife and me as friends. "This is your aunt's friend." We both looked at each other in discomfort, and I asked my mom why, and she said, "Well, because they're still so young and they don't need any confusion right now." I suggested that she could introduce us properly, and if the kids questioned it, she could explain to them later, or use the "I'll tell you when you're older" thing. My wife and I would have been completely fine with that. But no, she didn't want any middle ground in it. She was sticking to her guns, her actual words. Then, she asked us what the big deal was, and we told her that we're married, not just friends. My wife added that introducing us as friends would be disrespectful to our marriage and to us. We deserve to be recognized as a couple, just like every other couple that was there. We would have to interact with each other differently and act like we're friends when we're clearly much more than that. And the fact that she was telling us that she was in fact doing it, instead of asking us how we felt about it, added to our discomfort. This didn't convince her, and she was still bent on protecting the kids. So my wife calmly said that if we can't be treated equally, then we wouldn't be coming. I agreed to that and took my wife's side. None of this was said to my mother in a rude way. This made my mother furious. She ranted about how she bought enough food for everyone, including us, and how she was cooking our favorite sides. I told her that it was all pointless if she was just going to drive an invisible wedge between us the whole time, and that I was sorry, but I was taking my wife's side on this. Well, she hung up. We had our own Thanksgiving with my wife's family and a lot of our friends. But since then, my mother has not let it go, blowing up my phone constantly, guilting me, talking about how everyone asked where my wife and I were, to which she said that we bailed last second. It is December now, and she'll mention it at least twice a day. Now I'm starting to think that I was in the wrong, and that I should have talked to my wife about it, but I didn't know what else to do. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. And if you have contact information for any of the family members, you should send them a message and set the record straight. My wife and I did not attend Thanksgiving due to our relationship being disrespected. My mother made the choice to be bigoted and dismiss us in our love. Until she accepts us as a couple, we will not be seeing her. And see how that ripple unfolds. Comment 2. Not the idiot. Be proud of yourself for this one, honestly. You are a strong individual for standing up to your family. It takes a lot to do. Do not fault yourself like she wants you to for her mess up. I grew up with same-sex couples at holidays and never once really questioned it, and that was before it was viewed more openly. It's very hateful to ask you to hide it for the kids. You did great. Be proud. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, it's been 2 weeks since I last posted about the Thanksgiving drama with my mom, and oh boy, do I have an update for you all. Buckle up because things have taken some turns. After the whole ordeal with my mom, my wife and I thought we'd get some peace, but that was wishful thinking. My mom's calls didn't stop. She kept bringing up Thanksgiving, saying how hurt she was that we didn't show up. I tried to explain our side again, but she wouldn't have any of it. It was like talking to a brick wall. Now, here's where things get really messy. My wife's birthday was last week, and we decided to have a small get-together at our place. Just a few close friends, nothing big. But guess who decided to show up unannounced? Yep, my mom. She came bearing gifts and a cake, acting like nothing ever happened. My wife and I were shocked, to say the least. We didn't want to cause a scene, so we let her in. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. My friends could sense something was off, but they didn't know the whole story. My mom tried to be all chummy with my wife, but you could tell it was forced. The night was going okay until my mom pulled me aside. She said she wanted to apologize and make amends. I was hopeful for a second. But then she dropped a bombshell. She told me she had been talking to my ex, Jenna. Now, Jenna and I had a pretty intense relationship back in high school. We were each other's first loves, but things ended badly when I came out. I hadn't spoken to Jenna in years, and I couldn't understand why my mom would bring her into this. Turns out, my mom had been confiding in Jenna about the whole friend situation and how she felt I was being unreasonable. Jenna, who apparently still held a grudge against me for breaking up with her, was all too happy to take my mom's side. She even suggested that my mom should try to turn me back to men. I was floored. My heart broke not just because my mom would do this, but because she would go to someone who used to mean so much to me. I confronted my mom right there, asking her why she would involve Jenna in our personal business. She just shrugged and said she needed someone to talk to who understood her perspective. I couldn't believe it. My wife overheard the conversation and was understandably upset. She felt betrayed that my mom would go behind our backs like that. The rest of the night was a blur. My wife asked my mom to leave, and after some resistance, she finally did. The party ended shortly after, with everyone feeling pretty uncomfortable. Since then, my wife and I have been trying to process everything. We've had long talks about trust and boundaries. It's been tough, but we're getting through it together. My mom has tried to reach out a few times, but we've decided to keep our distance for now. We need space to heal and figure out how to move forward. And as for Jenna, she sent me a message on social media, trying to rekindle our old friendship. I didn't respond. Some doors are better left closed. Now, for the next story. I, 27 years old female, have been in a relationship with my boyfriend, now ex-boyfriend. 27 years old male, for 5.5 years. We're originally from X country, but moved to Y about 3 years ago. Despite my boyfriend having a bit of a nasty temper, he treated me well overall. We met in college, and during a challenging time, I supported him financially and tutored him for free. After college, I helped him land a great job. When I got a job in Y country 3 years ago, I assisted him in finding a job there and even covered his flight tickets. I've even met his parents a few times, and they seemed like nice people. Fast forward to 6 months ago, a random girl, 27 years old female, contacted me on Facebook, introducing herself as my boyfriend's girlfriend. She's in X country, planning an online surprise birthday party for him. Apparently, he told her I was his close friend, so she wanted to invite me too. Here's where the part that I might be the AH begins. I continued the conversation with her, like everything was alright, so that I would gather as much info from her as possible. She and my boyfriend had been dating for 8 years, 5.5 years overlapping with my relationship, and they had set the date for their wedding in 6 months. I felt blindsided, livid, and was utterly depressed, so I confronted my boyfriend about this, and he didn't even bother to hide the truth. He said he had no choice but to be loyal to her because she's the one he met first, and everything was planned for the wedding. I asked him what would become of me, and why he did this to me, but all he said was that these things happen. He would continue his relationship with me even after his marriage, and that I should suck it up, since he was apparently doing this as a favor to me. So I spent the next few days pretending like everything was okay. We didn't meet in person, so it was easier to just pretend. Meanwhile, I documented pictures/screenshot chats of everything we did during our 5.5-year relationship and made them into a folder. Then, I contacted his other girlfriend and sent her all the proof. She initially thought I was lying, but after going through the evidence, contacted me again to apologize. She also provided proof of their relationship. To our disgust, we discovered he had given us the exact same things for birthdays, anniversaries, etc., with identical pickup lines, identical messages on some days. Prior to moving to Y country, there have even been days when he had spent the morning with her and the afternoon with me, and vice versa. Anyway, she broke off the wedding, and my now ex-boyfriend is demanding that I reimburse him for all of the money he had spent on the wedding planning, approximately $6,000, because I ruined both his wedding and life. I have refused to pay him and also cut off all contact with him, but he reaches out using new numbers, sends messages demanding compensation. Update: the other girlfriend sent everything showing proof of both my relationship and hers to his family. Now his mum wants to speak to me. I'm not sure if I should or not. I feel like they are blaming everything on me. To give you a bit of a context, we are from a strict South Asian country. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's not your fault that he is a cheater. I don't know what he was thinking about, having a wife and a side girlfriend, but if he told his future wife about you openly, he should have thought that you can communicate and connect the dots. Not the sharpest tool in the shed. He ruined his own life, but also hers and yours. Comment 2. Not the idiot. So he wants to be reimbursed for his wasted wedding planning, does he? Ha. I could say a few choice things about that, but that would end up getting me banned. I think you should send him a bill for everything you have given him over the years and sue him for breach of promise. Let's see how he likes them apples. Now, for the update. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around after my last post. It's been a wild couple of weeks, and I've got some updates that will make your head spin. So, after my ex's other girlfriend sent all the proof to his family, his mum reached out to me. I was hesitant, but I decided to hear her out. Turns out, she was under the impression that I was some sort of temptress who led her precious son astray. She demanded that I apologize for ruining the wedding and their family's reputation. I was floored. Here I was, thinking she might be sympathetic, but nope, she was on a mission to make me the villain. I tried to explain my side, but she wouldn't have any of it. She even had the audacity to suggest that I should have been more understanding and accepted my role as the other woman, since I wasn't the one he was engaged to. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was the same woman who had welcomed me into her home, the same one who had watched me support her son through college, and now she was basically telling me I was disposable. Meanwhile, my ex was relentless. He started showing up at my workplace, causing scenes that had my colleagues whispering and my boss raising an eyebrow. It was humiliating. He even left notes on my car, each one more aggressive than the last, insisting that I owed him for the wedding expenses. But here's where things get even more twisted. Remember how I mentioned that I helped him land a great job when we moved to Y country? Well, it turns out he was using his position to embezzle funds. And guess who he tried to pin it on? Me. He told his employers that I had access to his work accounts and that I must have been the one stealing the money. The nerve of him. I was called in for questioning, and it was the most stressful experience of my life. I had to hire a lawyer to defend myself against these baseless accusations. It was a nightmare, but thankfully, the truth came out. Security footage and computer logs proved that I had nothing to do with his shady dealings. My ex was fired on the spot, and now he's facing legal charges. But wait, there's more. Remember the other girlfriend? She reached out to me again, this time to apologize for not believing me sooner. She told me that after she broke off the wedding, she found out she was pregnant. My ex had promised to stand by her, but once the money troubles started, he bailed. She was left alone, pregnant and heartbroken. As for me, I've been trying to pick up the pieces of my life. I've been going to therapy to deal with the betrayal and the public humiliation. It's been tough, but I'm slowly getting there. My friends have been my rock, reminding me that I did nothing wrong and that I deserve so much better. And in a strange twist of fate, karma seemed to have a subtle way of righting all wrongs. Just yesterday, I received a letter from my ex's former company. In light of the recent events, and as a gesture of goodwill, they offered me a job. It's a better position than the one my ex had, with a higher salary and more responsibilities. I accepted the offer, and I start next week. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.